Then right here below me you can see where the chickens were. Just today I moved them, and you can see how they didn't allow anything to grow during the rains. And when I released them earlier today, they just started nibbling on all the fresh grass that was available in their new paddock. Here we are in their new paddock today. They just got moved here. You can see their chickshaw hanging out there in the shade, and they're nibbling on any new grasses they can find, and also insects and things that they find on the ground. The fence is our neighbor's land, and it's been abandoned for several years, and you can really tell the difference between managed and unmanaged. Lots of the orange trees have died. Olive trees are popping up just like on our land, but we want some of them for just carbon capture. And also you can see how the older grasses, as they haven't been knocked down, they don't really give a chance for the new grasses below to spring up. I would suppose that this land needs some sort of grazer. Wild boar do come in here all the time, but they just forage for mushrooms and figs, other things they can find. So I'm here at the countryside just after a huge rain event, and I wanted to take the opportunity to show you all the countryside. I'm going to film the scenes with a vintage lens, try to give you a different perspective on the land, show you some of the plants, especially how green everything is now. What a change it is in fall around here. It's like a second spring for us in the Mediterranean. It'll be green all through winter, and then we'll get some more rain probably throughout winter and some in spring, and then we'll just go through an extreme drought all summer. That's the typical tendency. If we're lucky, we'll get a few thunderstorms there in summer, but other than that, it's just usually drought. As you can see how green things are around, lots of grass. I might do some voiceover on the footage, but here we go. So here you can see our cottage house. It's the yellow one there. Just zoom past some of the foliage after the heavy rains. It's one of my favorite plants. It's typical of the Mediterranean climate. It's called bougainvillea. It's originally from South America. It's right on representative of Mediterranean gardening. You can find it in Italy, Greece, everywhere. There's a shot of a young pomegranate that's only a couple of years old, trying to get it to fruit. It just popped up. It's a volunteer. I don't know how the fruit will be from it. We have one a bit further down that the wood is a bit infested with some sort of termite or something. And there in the background you can see the seed heads of milk thistle, which is called card, I think, as well, or cardoon. It's very typical in the Mediterranean climate and just self-seeds everywhere. I love it. It's an amazing plant just to add a bit of pop and structure to to your garden. There's a bit of borage popping up. Come March, we'll start to flower with their great flowers. Here's a little aloe vera plant. I don't know what species it is. It's not the typical one. And you can just see some of the life coming up there through the ground. Ants crawling everywhere. These are the moments that I like about the garden. It's just looking at all the life that pops up in little corners that you didn't expect, especially when you create these little micro environments for life to flourish. It's just a lovely part about garden. There's a moringa tree you can see, and it's one of those plants that I thought was absolutely dead, and it had died with the droughts. But it really surprised me this year and has hung on longer than normal. Usually come fall, it gets blasted by winds and it just dies back. And then here coming up behind the moringa is Salvia woodland sage. It's just an amazing resistant plant that can get through our droughts here, and when it has water, it will flower 2 or 3 times. There's Liana, I think it's called, another volunteer. Has amazing flowers. It's getting a bit too big, so I'll cut it back. This is a kind of daylily that I'm not sure of its name. If anybody knows, please comment below. There's another almond tree volunteer. Here's these typical bunching wild grasses that self-seed all over the garden. My trusty water can, rusted out. And here I'm just testing out my new gimbal. Didn't really know how to use it. And here we're coming on our loquat tree. It's starting to flower. And it's going to set fruit pretty soon.
Here behind me you have a young loquat tree. I think it's getting ready to set its flowers. Usually they set fruit in spring, early spring. I'm not sure, this is the first time I've had a loquat, but they're all over here and they do really well. This one I planted just this year, so it's less than a year old.
So moving on from the loquat, there in the background you can see our chickshaw, 100% upcycled from a storm we had here. We took some material from the typical boardwalks you can find in the beaches that was just thrown away. There's our lovely chickens, hens, getting to work, fertilizing our ground. That's a carob tree with some Sudan grass there as a cover crop to help build the soil. They're sitting on top of a small little earthwork. There's some grapes in there in the background, and the carob tree again. These are avocado trees. These are mulberry trees that volunteered at the bottom of our land, and you have a little structure here that's not ours, but a lot of water runs off of there and really keeps that area moist. As well as at the bottom of our land, all of the runoff collects here at the bottom. So several mulberry trees popping up. Hopefully they'll give us some shade for the chickens, always during summertime, during the intense heat. And alfalfa that was planted by my neighbor, who was a professional farmer, and he used to have goats that he would feed this alfalfa. And it's like a no care. You just like neglect the alfalfa and it'll come back every year with the rain. But I'm really satisfied with running the chickens through our plot because Okay, as you can see that everything's just really greened up from our previous videos. When we get some rain, the land just loves it. There's our improvised fence in our continuous battle against the wild boar. There are my two girls enjoying life in the countryside, a bit of contact with nature, getting dirty, playing with snails, throwing rocks around. That's what having a bit of land is all about, keeping in touch with nature and doing dangerous things. I think sometimes we're a bit overprotective of our children and a few dangerous things here and there aren't too bad. Chloe giving the hoe a shot on the ground. And then finally, when we go to the countryside often as a family, what we do is make paella. So this is my daughter Chloe helping out with the fire. First you light the fire, get it started. The wind helped us out here a bit. And got it going. I don't know why in English everybody says paella, but in English we don't say tortilla, except for in Napoleon Dynamite. You have that double L, it should be yeah. We shouldn't make an exception for paella. It's not paella, it's paella. Just like tortilla. So that's one of my pet peeves. Yeah, putting in rice, special paella rice, bomb rice. Usually it's put in a cross, but it doesn't matter. You have to be careful what you call a paella here in Valencia, because a lot of people will get upset. So that's all. Hope you enjoyed this short tour.
So here I am on top of our roof, capturing a stunning sunset. Here you can't really appreciate it there in the background, but I'll try to touch things up in post. There you have my M50 recording in time-lapse mode, and hopefully I'll show you the results soon. Everything's so green now with the rains that have come, and they have totally transformed the landscape. You can see over here. Here's a perspective from up above of our land.
Just stay the same, and everything will be okay. Promise I will always wait.